Warning, I have no experience in DIY. I'm converting my garage into a studio and a workshop. This video may make you extremely upset in several different ways, but I'll try my best to learn from my mistakes. Please do not copy anything I do in this video series, as you may hurt yourself. If you do have any feedback, advice, or comments, please leave them down below. Let's crack on. Oh no, is it structurally sound? I don't know. I don't know if that noise is a good noise. Look at that. Another day, another garage. And I'm 100% going to be the person that is completely all the gear, no idea. You might be thinking, Joe, why does this look so smooth? What you're doing? Well, what about now? Look, I mean, okay, ignore the actual gloves. These are my missus's gloves, so they're very tight. But I now have like a neck hand-free thing that I'll show you in a second, actually. Now I know what you are going to be thinking. Joey, you look like an absolute wombat. And you're right, I think I do. But the POVs that I'm going to be able to get from this is going to be amazing. Forgive the tight shirt where I'm showing a little bit of belly. Reason why is because it's one of those shirts that I can just wear to get messy, if that makes sense, and I don't really care about it too much. So I'll be using this for a lot of the stuff, minus this recorder. That's for the camera that you see right now. But I should be able to get, you know, if I'm painting or clearing out the gutters, for example, which is, I think, what I'm about to do in a minute, then I can use this bad boy. But if I do lean over, it does start to wobble a bit. So I don't know how that is going to be when I'm doing stuff like clean the gutter. Now, first thing I will say is that I went on the roof for the first time the other day after I recorded my first video for the garage update. And on my hands and knees, I was fine. And then I stood up. I got so dizzy. I used to actually dive when I was younger off like a 3-meter board, a 5-meter board, not a 7 or a 10. I used to jump off those, but a 5 and a 3. And a 1, no problem. I stood up on this roof. I got so dizzy. I was like, what's going on? So I had to go back down on my hands and knees. So clearing out the gutter is going to be fun. So anything from now that requires height is just, it's a no-go for me. A couple of updates that I'm going to talk to you about. I'm actually going to take this neck brace off, I guess. How do you... So one of the first things I want to do is say a massive thank you to anybody who left a comment on the previous video about like what I need to do. I've had so much feedback, so many comments. It's really, really nice. Obviously, sorting through the 600 that I had was a little bit overwhelming, and sometimes too much information can overwhelm my old noggin, but it was better to have more than none. So thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate it. There was an overwhelmingly large amount of people that were saying, I need to look at sorting the roof because of the damp. So I did actually manage to get not only the one quote, but I've got 3 different quotes on how much it's going to be for the roof. However, all 3 of them, all 3 roofer companies said, Joey, you need to replace the roof. And it was in like the £4,000 to £5,000 bracket, depending on whether it was just going to be the felt that I have at the moment, replacing the 4 or 3.5 sheets, I think it is, as well as the, I don't know, chipboard or OSB that I've got up there, whatever board that is, or to use EDPM rubber, which is like a newer thing, and that will supposedly last for a lot longer. But after speaking to my mum's husband, who used to be a carpenter, and he's going to be helping me with majority of this stuff, you will get a chance to meet him. He might be on camera quite a bit because he's going to be assisting me and teaching me a lot of the things that I need to do, which is amazing. Seems to think that a lot of it is going to be just from water in between the garage and next door where we have like the concrete at the bottom. That's then just building up and seeping through the bottom brick, even though it's been slurried or whatever you want to call it beforehand. So that brings me on to my next most important thing, which is I've actually got a mold person is a terminology that I'm going to use. I think they're called them, it's like a mold surveyor. It's mold and timber specifically, but they're going to come around and they're going to check the garage itself to see where the mold is coming from. They can do like a report, and they're accredited and qualified with certain things. And I just thought, in my head, it makes sense to pay somebody to do that. It was £288 to have that done. But if they then turn around and say, you've got to get a new roof, or you potentially don't have to get a new roof and you just need to do XYZ because of the mold situation, it's a lot of peace of mind and clarity. As you can see, I've not actually done anything in terms of removing nothing yet. I think the whole situation with the roof, as you can see, with the mold and whatnot, is just playing on my mind a little bit. So I wanted to get that sorted first before I'd done anything else with the rest of the stuff that's in here. I mean, some of it is just, you know, big boxes, which won't take me long at all to sort. So I think I can get this quite empty really, really quickly anyway. What I will say actually is that we've got the door for the garage, as you can see, and it's on like this big roller up top. I think what I'm going to aim to do is take that out, and I'm going to shut this garage door and just completely sealing it up. And then that way, if somebody moves into the property in the future, they still have the garage door to be able to turn it back into the garage if they wish to do so. And Lee, who's my mum's husband, I'll refer to him as Lee from now on, was saying that you can get like bits of lead that if, say, here's the concrete, you can use a saw to drill into the concrete. He said he doesn't know if it's still lead, that's what they used to use back in the day, but you just drill into the concrete with like a saw, and then you stick the lead in like that, and then it goes down and then comes up. So it forms like a bit of a barrier at the bottom of the door to make sure no water or anything gets in. And then you would look at boarding it and then doing, I don't know if I'd like slurry that, you know, but safe to say, I think I'm going to keep the carriage door. But, oh, but Joey, if you're sealing that, how are you going to get in? Well, I think the way that we do this is by taking these windows out and then having double doors in the middle and then a window here. So window, double doors, window, I think is what I'm looking at. So this would actually be the entrance. Having double doors here means that I have better access, larger access to the garage itself. I realise actually that a lot of this video as well is more so me just talking rather than doing. I promise that's going to change. The best part about this being a series though is that I get to watch this when I'm older, from, you know, episode 1 all the way through to however many episodes it might be. 74, 150, I don't know. 7. And I will try my best to make sure that I get the angles that I need to get. Speaking of doing, what I'm going to try and do now is clear the gutter. So wish me luck with that. Right, I guess here's a little before. Look at this. Oh no, look how, oh, you can't even see. I'm getting used to this, but look at that. From one part, wow. This is gonna make a difference, hey? They might just come around and say it was because the gutter was all blocked. Look, that's really satisfying actually. Lord, our glove. Go on then. I think it all kind of seems, is it structurally sound? I don't know if that noise is a good noise. Probably not. But then my fear, I guess, is that I wonder if it's gone in here. I mean, that doesn't feel too bad. You know, I can't pull that up. But if the water has sat in here and gone up underneath, it's probably affecting the wood, hey? All the way across there, look at that. Nice. All right, cleaning the gutter. Do you want to come up? But yeah, you okay? All of it's damp. All of it. Whole lot. It's damp. Ecosystem, literally its own ecosystem. Oh my gosh, it makes such a difference. Oh, that's it, trousers wet, there's no going back now. That's it, get stuck in. What we're gonna have to do. Is that mushrooms? Got blooming mushrooms up here. Oh my gosh, oh, look at our farm. Oh yeah, oh, it's really satisfying. It's really satisfying because it's so wet. Worms. This is so wet. Look at that. What's that doing there? Got new gloves, by the way. I say new, just bigger ones than the ones that I had on before. I apologise for all the moaning. I'm not used to this hard work, hard labour work. Maybe I'll have a newfound appreciation for it. One with the tree. One with the tree. Oh, twigs in my bum. Ah. That's so much better. Pigeons or something. But spider webs mixed in with it. Oh man. Wow. Oh. Yeah. I'm hoping it's going to be the last bit now. Is it going to require 3? Potentially. 3 bin bags. That's so much. I have to bear in mind what I can take down the ladder. I reckon someone would have charged a couple £100 to do this, maybe. I can tell myself that anyway. And not £20. Right, there we have it. 3 bags. 1, 2, 3. All of that rubbish. Well, let's go and have a look at it. Also, I'm going to get the hose and wash all the stuff. Yeah, the sun's going to get to it and dry it out, hopefully. And then I'll just give it a little hose, get all that off, and make sure that it's flowing down. Well, it's probably going to cause an absolute mess on the floor, but I can hear it going down, which is good as well because it means that the actual Bit going down's not clogged because I thought that might be clogged. The only thing I will say is it looks like it's just staying on top, but and not draining right down. If I go here, look. It's draining. And I think we just give it a little brush. Then one more blast. Just to get you a nice close up. There we go. That's the gutter. All clear. Lovely jubbly. Compared to what it was before, nice. A little bit of water just sat there, but that's probably just because of over time. I wonder if that's gonna eventually go down. Probably not eventually go down, but maybe evaporate. But I think where there's been so much here, it's just kind of sat there and made it a little bit bowed. So I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Whether that just needs to be replaced, that specific part, or whether they still come around the roofers and say that still need a whole new roof, time will tell. And now for the real test. I've not had water in here in I don't know how long. This is where the guttering comes into. And if I twist this, yeah. Oh, that stinks. All right, I'll turn that straight back off. Jeez Louise. Well, there we go. All done, dusted. Completely and utterly filthy. Time for a shower. But I'll probably update you when the roof comes around, see what he says now about all of that stuff. And whether that's going to have an effect on the mould that we have down below. Most probably, I imagine. Look at these fingernails. I can call myself a grafter now, hey? After all these years. Lovely jubbly. Back in a much more familiar setting right now where I feel comfortable. So I've just had the roof around and I really like this guy. So I think this is the 4th quote. And from what I gathered speaking to him, he doesn't think the mold is being caused necessarily by the roof, but recommends getting the roof replaced because the actual wood that I have on the ceiling is plywood, and apparently he's had loads of issues himself personally with ply. Even if you can get, you know, more thickness, it's definitely recommended to go for something like an OSB. So he took one look at the wood inside and said that needs changing. In regards to the felt as well, I spoke to my neighbour and she reckons it was done about 35 years ago or so. So it's definitely stood the test of time, but I think it's coming up to a time where it might potentially need a full replacement. We spoke about the differences between EDPM and felt. Felt is obviously something that, again, is very well known, lasts a long time, whereas EDPM is still not relatively new, but new-ish. And he said he's never had an issue with any of the previous EDPM roofs that he's fitted himself. And you literally just order to the size of the garage. It makes it quite easy. He said that it's probably going to be about 4 or 5 people doing the roof. He was also talking about how he's going to put little triangle bits of timber on the roof as well, in which case it then wouldn't off the left-hand side just run off and like fall over, but instead it would just direct it more so, the water that is, to the back of the garage. And they can keep the runaway the exact same way, so it feeds into the water butt with the gutter. And he said the gutter in itself looks absolutely fine in terms of it being sturdy, so I can keep that, but has recommended to change, again, the roof itself as well as the boards underneath. Looked at the joists and said no problem at all. They look really, really sturdy. They don't feel very moist. The wall is obviously an issue that is unrelated to him, I think. And he said all in all, it's probably going to be about $4,000. And I said, would it make a difference between if I chose felt or went with EDPM? He said, no. He said, you're probably talking maybe about 100, 200 pounds difference between the two. And it's going to be roughly around about the same price anyway. So that's where we're at. We're up to date. I also, again, have the surveyor coming around very, very soon. That'll be in the next episode. And that, I think, is going to be very important because that will essentially tell me exactly what it is that I need to do with that wall. Is it going to be okay with some tanking slurry and some DPM? Or is the situation going to get a little bit worse? And I don't know if they're going to ask me to replace the wall. I have no idea. Stay tuned until next episode, I guess. Bit of a side note to that. I did speak to about 3 surveyors that, by the way, was certified and registered for like damp and timber mold inspection or whatever it was. I went through a website. I called 4 in total. I spoke to 3. The first 3 that I spoke to talked to me like I was insane. They were like, you want us to inspect and survey your garage for mold? And I guess the reason being is because, surveyors often take more so like bigger properties for when you're buying or selling to do the inspection. So nobody expects like a call for a small garage. But I kind of felt a little bit, and just to give you guys an insight, if you might potentially go through this yourself, you kind of just have to keep calling companies, I guess, because the 4th one, which had pretty much the exact same offerings as the first 3, was just like, yeah, cool, no problem at all. We can, we want money up front because we don't do a free survey. So you'll need to pay the invoice before we actually come and visit you. But yeah, that's not a problem. We can do it. It's our cheapest package, which was the £288. It makes perfect sense. And I was like, oh, cool, nice one. But I got real weird vibes from the first 3 companies, as if I was like really stupid, which, you know what, may be the case. The guttering definitely needed cleaning out anyway. So I know that I may have wasted my time potentially on the roof itself by cleaning all of that, but at least now it's kind of clean and tidy and no further damage can be done to the walls or the surrounding area. Plus good practice. I learned a lot today. I'm going to leave a playlist for all the garage stuff. So if you want to start from episode 1, I'd highly recommend it. Go and check it out. And as always, please let me know down below if you're enjoying this so far. I know, again, I haven't done much garage related, but you wait until I got to clear it out and do all the tanking, slurry, DPM, the timber, all of those things. It's going to be an adventure for sure. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, hit the thumbs up button. Like I said, leave a comment down below. And as always, I shall see you in the next one. Peace.